referenced him. I didn't know anyone on the trip but Mark Herman through a mutual friend. He's the one that kind of connected and brought me because I saw that he was going a couple months leading into it. And I said, wow, I'd love to go. How are you going? He said, anyone can go. It's like $35,000. Candace is sending me. He works for Candace Owens. I said, can Candace send me? And I'd love to go. And he was like, no, I don't think so. But eventually he called me and told me that, someone had backed out of the trip and Will was interested in my proposal to, film it as a documentary and as a flat earther to come without bias. I think it made the flat earthers of the group that were going, Jaron, Whitsett, and Lizbeth, more comfortable. Um, so that's what we did. I got the invite and he booked my tickets the day before Thanksgiving. Um, I proposed like a 90-minute documentary journey story. Jaron and the others would have final cut to say in terms of their representation on the project that we turn out so that it doesn't end up like Behind the Curve did, where he's misrepresented. If anyone's seen it, you've probably seen the flat earthers are made to look retarded. There's a guy with like hammers and he's juggling a ball talking flat earth, and he's contrasted with a psychologist who's sitting in a well lit, orchestrated sit down interview with great lighting and sound. Um, so, our objective between Will and I, with me coming, was to make sure that didn't happen with this. Um, there was a couple of other things that experiments that were done that we were able to witness that on the Gleason's map, put a lot of things into question. We offered anyone who was listening on the days we were there to try to get solar photos of the sun to show the sunspots from their perspective, to send the metadata and EXIF data to us on the raw images so we could verify that they were from where they said they were taken. And you could see that it was the same sun, the spun sunspots. There was a guy in Kansas, guy in Missouri, I think, maybe someone in Mexico and California. And it was like a flipped image over the equator from where we were. We also photographed it in Punta Arenas in Chile. I photographed it as well. And then the third thing, which is, we're kind of looking at the flight data here, but Critical Think is Australian. And I flew from Los Angeles, and for me to fly to Santiago, Chile was a 10 and a half hour flight. And for Critical Think to fly from Sydney to Santiago, Chile was like an 11-hour flight. And there's no flights from Los Angeles to Sydney that are shorter than that. So on the AE map, where Sydney is in relation to Santiago, Chile is like a straight line over Los Angeles. So I think it's like over a 10-hour flight to Sydney from Los Angeles. So you would have been looking at a 20-hour trip for him to fly directly. And I actually, before the trip, spent a lot of time with just the map in Photoshop and the liquidation tool, trying to move continents around and make sense of it. And I was in a different chat the other night, kind of introducing myself on Clubhouse, and a guy, Shane, was in there from Flat Earth University, and he made a good point, and we're trying to kind of make sense of it all and focus our energy on the right things. I'm saying that that's a claim, but I don't want anyone to be insulted. Um, but the idea is like proximity is going to be significant to figure out. I'm sure we've all seen the maps where Africa is drawn very small, but in relation, it's huge. The width of it, you could fit like on the top width, you could fit like Russia and Asia across it. So I think our maps are. I think we all agree there's some distortion, and so I would wonder how that flight was possible the way we see the map, and at least on the AE map or the UN flag or any of the flat, nose confundens maps and all of those. So those are like the main data points that I believe Jaron said what he said, which was misconstrued with, mainstream media going, a flat earther admits he's wrong, and they put the part about wrong about the shape of the earth.
Right.
So if that clears anything up.
Yeah, they totally misrepresented, but that's why we were saying we didn't understand why he did that because we have well at least us in Flatter Fridays, and you're welcome to pop over there too, bro. We do
Cool.
spaces on
Yeah, happy
Friday.
to.
I think I did hear you on Clubhouse when I was listening to a stream by Alan, space artist. I think I heard you guys talking
Hmm.
about this. But I think that's what a lot of flat earthers are a little bit upset about because, they were making sure that there was nothing that was going to be taken out of context and like,
Yeah,
the
I'm a
contracts
skeptic.
was like
I saw a
custom.
video of like the hurricane recently, and I was like, it was a NASA or something, and I jumped in the comments before the trip, and I was like, it's not moving. Like, there's no time lapse movement of the storm. It's just flying over the storm. I'm very skeptical of a lot myself. The seeing the sun was like a mind fuck because I mean we all were prepared to see it, but then when you get there and it happens, there's a lot of shock and awe still I think resonating, and like Jaron said in that video, we were going nonstop. I was going nonstop because I was shooting all the globe experiments, all the flat earth experiments, all the people, the excursions, the plane, like interviews in between all of that, just to have like a nice sit down with every single person in the beginning, the middle, and then an exit interview for like a bigger story. And I think I think what we're doing is a good opportunity for flat Earth, and I would hope that we can. I think with video as it comes out, we were there. I did watch my compass the whole way and film it. I believe we were in Antarctica, pretty far in from where most cruises and things go. It's very dry. The first thing I wanted to do was take my shirt off and take a picture next to that little ice wall outside the cafeteria. I posted it on my TikTok. It was kind of an iconic photo. Um, it was weird though. We can talk about some nuance and anomalies that I saw as well because I want to kind of I want to feed the storm of flat earthers to kind of go autistic and figure this out. But when the sun was in the direction over the first camp we went to, but behind the big mountain, Mount Rossmore, I was shooting in my camera, and I was at an f stop of a 14. If anyone understands cameras, and when the sun was on the other side, I was shooting at like a 22 or even a 30 f stop. And now, for comparison, when it was a 14 f stop, that was a much colder time of day, and the f stop is decreasing. The higher you go, it's decreasing the amount of light in half every stop. So there was definitely a noticeable change. When we all took our shirts off picture, the sun was on the opposite side of Mount Rossman. Perspective wise, I think that was the opposite direction from where they told us the South Pole was, which was 600 miles kind of to the right over those mountains. There's something called the Antarctic Plateau I learned about where it's like you get past the mountains and the mountain range beyond us, and it just is nothing for that 600 miles. People have kind of hallucinated and seen gremlins. We were told one woman. I thought that was really interesting. Little creatures she tried to interact with. People have chalked it up to like not a hyperbolic chamber, a sensory deprivation chamber, because when you go on these Herculean pull all of your food and shit behind you hikes into the South Pole, sometimes the sky is gray and you see just white in every direction. So you're following like a compass, a GPS signal, and you're just walking, for weeks. Like I think this woman did it in like 5 or 6 weeks. She's She's won a couple of Guinness Book of World Records, but had an interesting story that some of the staff were telling us that she had told them. We never spoke with her. Would have been cool too, but I think she was off while we were there.
That's what
Not
Hey,
Jaron.
off.
hey, Jonathan, real quick, because I don't want you to gloss over this, and I really want you to be like super layman, super transparent about the anomalous of that lensing that you were talking about. Because I don't think that too many people are familiar with those optics, and I heard you kind of
Yeah,
like talk about it on Clubhouse, but I mean, I didn't even understand it because I'm not, I don't
yeah,
have
sure.
that background. But I just want you, and we're not going to hold you to anything that you say. Obviously, hopefully nobody does that in here, but
It's fine.
I want you to be a completely transparent of what you think should have been predicted and what you think the anomalies could have been when you're talking about this with the lighting and the temperature, the lensing, whatever the
I'm
case.
still trying to piece it all together. That's where I'm going into these chats and like introducing myself and saying hi, because I know there's smarter people than me. I just shoot pictures and video and make stuff. I'm not a scientist. But so the way a camera works is you have like an f stop. And if you can imagine, the f stop is sort of like your eyelid, but it opens and closes in these little circles. So if it's wide open, as we call it, in cinema, let's say it's a 1.2, an f stop, that's wide open. You're going to get a ton of light coming into that. And if you click it from a 1.2, it goes to like a 2.8. It's going to close down the amount of light that the size of the circle, creating half as much light every time you click it. So it's a 1.2, it's a 1.2, and then I think it goes like actually 1.4. You got like a 1.8, and you got like a 2.4, and then like a 5.6, and then you go to an 8, and then you go like an 11, a 22, and a 30. So something like that. So if you can imagine, each click is half or twice as much light. So if I'm at a 22 and I open the lens, I'm going to let twice as much light in from a 22 to an 11. So I also noticed though at those times, when I was stopped at a 14, which was like a sweet spot, I had a circular polarizer on my lens so that I could really get a nice contrast of the ice, because a polarizer works to reduce reflection. So if I film a polarizer at like a glass window and I have a light on inside the window and I'm trying to film something outside, that light as I turn the polarizer will disappear so that I get a clear shot without a reflection. And it's about a half a stop or something like that. But when I was at a 14, it was a much colder time of day. That's when like I would find, when we were up at the halfway point, the little camp Jaron referenced, I'd have the one time I had my gloves on was up there, because without them, it was really chilly. Your fingers would get really numb if you were out for more than like 15, 20 minutes. On the contrast, when I was at like a 22, or even one time I was surprised to see I was totally shut. The lens was like a tiny pinhole. It's a 30 f stop. It was very warm. And I was sitting outside one day for like an hour while a lot of people were sleeping. And I was just talking to one of the local guys about film and cinema. And I was commenting to him that, the 2 times a day, the time where my lens was open and my lens was closed, it was warm or it was cold. So I thought that was really interesting. If it's circling around us and it's there all day, you can see on the GoPro 360 that McKeegan filmed, that's everyone's looking at, that the sun kind of goes higher on one side of the day. That would be the warmer side of day when it was higher. And in flat Earth world, the sun being higher is representative, I think, of the sun's proximity being closer, more directly overhead. And so I kind of looked at that anomaly and made that correlation that, okay, it's higher overhead, it's hotter. My f-stop is much smaller, or it's a higher number, but a smaller opening in the lens. So I've got so much light coming in, it's bouncing off the ice and the snow, and it's all white. I had like a bag, like not a bag, it's called duvetine, but it's like a black cloth that we use in production to block out the light. And I had that completely wrapped around me. So if you see pictures, you might see me walking around and there's like a microphone pointing down off of like a fanny pack that had my sound gear. People had wireless mics on them. I'm recording into that fanny pack. And then I'm under this blanket, completely wrapped my torso up, and all that's peeking out is the camera lens, because it made like a little black movie theater of total darkness where I could really see the image for exposing it properly, and it'd get, a little more cinematic. Because if I had it off with the type of cameras I brought, because of weight and power and battery, I brought a small, like a DSLR, I brought 4 cameras. The screen would just reflect and bounce all the light on the back on the LCD, and you really wouldn't see it. And I was prepared for that LCD screen from, preparing for the cold to freeze up. So I was a little reluctant to rely on it, but it didn't. I didn't have any serious battery issues in
So
that regards.
and I got 2 more questions, and then someone else can jump in if they want. But just to clarify, so are you saying that if we did live on a sphere with the proposed distances of the sun, that it wouldn't have these extreme differences? And you're noticing that based on the shutter and the, what is it called,
F-stop?
the stop. Are you saying because when it's higher in the sky versus lower, there's like these drastic changes that may uh, align with something that's more local? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, maybe. I'm speculating because like what's interesting is like I'm in Los Angeles, and when the sky is at like when we're in the summer and the sky's directly overhead, if I'm shooting at the beach, it's not an ideal time to shoot because the light is so harsh. Your shadow's basically right under you, and the light is super bright. It's kind of the opposite effect you're making me realize, because when you shoot a sunset, the sun is like way on the distance, and it's still a full sun. It hasn't been like clipped by the land in any way. But the light is softer. It's directional. It's more moody. It's kind of more of a beauty. That's why you get like beauty light if you shoot. Photographers love to shoot in golden magic hour, which is the half an hour before the sun, or when the sun is first come up, and before the sun sets at the end of the day. And then you have the blue hour, which is on both sides as well. So it's like the hour before the sun, quote unquote, rise happens. There's light in the sky, and the darkness starts to fade, and it's kind of blue. Same thing happens after the sun physically disappears on a horizon. During the day, it's blue for like, and I think it's like an hour of blue and purple, and sometimes the
Twilight.
clouds light up. Yeah,
During
twilight.
twilight. Yeah.
But it was different. It seemed, because when the sun was, if you look at those 360 cameras, when the sun's goes on that circle, it goes higher. So there's like a mountain, Rossmore, where Jaren's pointing. It's real distinctive. I have a video on my TikTok where I'm having people guess how far it is. A few videos back, when the sun was like over that or to the right, if you're looking at that mountain, um, all the way maybe 180 or 45 degrees or more, it's kind of low on the horizon, by contrast to when it's on the opposite side, where there's like no mountains hardly, and then there's like a small mountain range kind of peaks up and it wraps around to the glacier and the Antarctic plateau that you can kind of see. That's when it's higher in the sky, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when I was having these, either the cold shifts or the f-stop shifts, that it was noticeable to me, and I was pointing it out to like Whitsid and Jaren and Liz. It's like, okay, this is interesting. What are you guys getting?
Yeah, I definitely think that we should definitely think more critically about the details. Things like
Yeah,
I'm glad that you brought this point up. It's something to definitely ponder about when they start releasing all the footage in its totality. Two more things just to get a little bit more pressing, right? Because I'm sure there might be somebody in the audience, or many people in the audience and the listening, that may want to know this. But what would you say to those that are skeptical of who you are? Because it would be pretty convenient to have
yeah,
a flat earther that's seemingly on our side. What do you say to those that may say that you're just put in place to pacify
yeah.
the flat earthers?
I can say a few things about that. I mean, ultimately, it's faith. I guess you'll have to have faith, but I find it hilarious that I've become the thing that I so often was skeptical, and I've become a meme in a way. I'm a shill in some places. I'm green screen Mariande, because I had the green screen. I had the patch on of my Patagonia shirt that was green, and it keyed out when.
Oh,
Uh,
that was you with the
yeah,
green screen
yeah, it was
patch.
me.
Oh, okay.
Can
I'm
I
going to
ask you a
market those.
question,
I'm going to
mate?
sell some patches. Yeah, go
Your
ahead.
man Whitsit, does he smoke?
Yeah, he didn't smoke a. I didn't know. So here's the thing about the vape. I didn't notice a vape. There was a smoking section where Jaren is showing the video of Liz, the one that went to the South Pole with her friend, that really liked us, liked flat earthers, and was really like, she
Hey,
called us
Astro, come
like
on up.
the cream of the crop from that trip, not so much just Antarctica. But
So he
she
does
really enjoyed
smoke.
us. Um, I don't know if he'll get in trouble with like a loved one, but there was a cigarette smoking section, and people did have cigarettes.
Did he have a vape?
Not to my knowledge, because I would have wanted to hit that. I had some Zin, and I did have a couple of smokes from someone else. But I have a video where I'm coming out of the cab with someone about the vape. I think he was talking to MC Tune, and I shot a photo of him on the live stream where I made him like a silhouette. That's where I stopped the lens down very extreme. And so he kind of goes dark, and you can see while he's talking his breath pretty clearly. I know that doesn't probably satisfy a lot of people looking into that. But the video I have on my TikTok, the most recent top video, I say, "Welcome to Antarctica." You're probably wondering what the light's like this time of day. And as I walk outside, and having been in a couple of these chats over the last couple of days, just listening to people talk and trying to get more information myself. Um, Noticing that that was a puncture, a push point, like a bullet point about the breath. I did notice it in the video, and that's kind of why I posted that one next. Just because it's as I walk out from the room, the cafeteria is heated. I'm not sure how they heat it. I think it's a probably run off of like propane, or they use jet fuel for all the cars. They're all modified.
So how did you hear about this channel?
How did I hear about what?
How did you hear about this channel? How did you get here?
Oh, it popped up. I was in a live stream. Well, one night I was downloading footage when we were back in Punta Arenas, and I was roommates with Dave McKeegan. And funny enough, we didn't fight or anything. He's a flow birther, and um, we just kind of got on and had jokes about our kids and stuff the whole time. And I think I took a nap or something. I woke up at like 11 or 12 and he wasn't there. And I was going to go jump in on Clubhouse with Lizbeth and Jaron and Witset, and I couldn't find them. And so I went down to the hotel in Punta. There was like a little back room and they were sitting in there. So I grabbed a coffee and they invited me on the stream. And I was just browsing my TikTok at the time because I was getting a lot of attention for being the green screen guy and getting a laugh out of being a conspiracy, sending to all my friends. I was on the trip, and so I was browsing and I saw that you guys were playing the live stream while I was in it, and I was just reading some of the comments and things, and it's popped up ever since on my TikTok.
My
So
last
you're saying that
Oh,
this channel popped up on your live? Is that how you got here?
it popped up when I sat in on the live stream that McToon was doing. Fucking by the dip was replaying it and commenting. A guy, I think Caleb was his name, was in, and he was trying
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
set up a
remember. Yeah,
debate.
I remember that.
Yeah,
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 we're doing the highlight. You're the guy sitting in the background, right?
yeah. I was the guy in the middle in the back.
Yep. Okay, I remember.
And somebody asked about spicy stuff. I'm a total liar. Someone just wrote Johnny Utah, man. I love that movie. Um, I filmed. We had me and Will got access to film to bring drones with us by ALE, and so when we were granted access, we gave our info to DJI, and they unlocked our drones to fly a mile high. And that was pretty interesting because where you look at the Antarctic plateau, there's it's kind of nothing. It just kind of blows out. So I'll post some stills and video clips of that soon.
So let me ask you this. So why can't Mictun come over here?
I don't know. I don't. You'd have to. I haven't talked to anyone except the group, and the group, like a Telegram we had. But I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't.
I'm surprised you want him over here, Dip. One last question. I'm glad Pirates is up here.
Because we
Yeah.
have questions for him. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Jonathan, we have some like really respected flat earthers in the TikTok community who are very familiar with film in the film industry, and there's a lot of questions about like there being like a studio and people not thinking that this is real. Like, how would you respond to some of these things that some of the flat earthers are skeptical about? Like, do you understand it, or do you think like what is your
Yeah,
position?
it would be really hard to fool me unless I was in a 360 studio. And if that was the case, those are like small rear projections, sort of. If you've ever seen like old movies, they rear project in like car scenes, like a fake background. They're obviously more sophisticated. I think Oblivion won the Oscar for having the best kind of awareness. Maybe Life of Pi is another one where they did that. But, we flew drones, we drove cars, we filmed it all, we went on excursions. This was a real place. I'm
How come
fairly
you guys
certain.
didn't know anything about the drones till we brought it up?
What's that?
How come you guys didn't know anything about the drones till Caleb brought it up?
No, what do you mean know anything about the drones?
When we talked about the drones, you guys had no idea till Caleb brought it up.
I'm not aware of that. I mean, I brought my drone. So did Will.
To be fair, Dip, when Witsit was over in Flat Earth Fridays, he had mentioned the drones and how they plan to fly them about a mile up because that's the elevation that they got approval for, quote unquote. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, also Duffy mentioned in his live stream the other day, he said that that's going to be the opening for the film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, he shot. So we went to this place. I think it was called the Wind Scoop, where the perspective out there is really trippy. Like the mountain behind our camp in those videos is 2 kilometers away, and you would think it's right. The base of it would look like it's right behind the camp. It's pretty far. You can tell that from the sky when we took off and when we did the little snow otter plane flight. Um, but we went to this ice scoop after going to the blue ice runway after that snow otter flight that's in Jaren's little red planes. And that was like a little scenic half an hour flight. We wanted to go to the pyramid, but it would have cost more. And they told us it was like 80 minutes total and a bunch of reasons we couldn't go. But Will wanted to go to that too. If you've heard of the pyramid in Antarctica, it was pretty close to us. Um, but we went and flew, and they said, hey, if you want to film the cargo plane, it's already landed, but you can film it taking off on the blue ice runway. This is like a real significant thing that makes this whole camp possible. So we went straight from the plane into that like 4x4 truck thing and drove to the blue ice runway, and we filmed the cargo plane taking off. And our expedition kind of driver said, hey, since you guys, because the storm is coming in, you have to leave tomorrow, this might be the only time you can see some of the cool spots around here. So he drove us, and when we got there, it was stunning. It's like big waves, kind of, you'll see, it's like waves cut out of the ice, and we could walk in them. We took some pictures pretending to surf. Had some like cleats on that are like spike metal cleats to walk on it so we don't slip. And we were bummed. Will and I were bummed that we didn't have our drones with us because we didn't take them in the plane flight, obviously. And so Scott was like, we go back later after dinner and after the meeting, the emergency meeting or the unplanned meeting, to like give us protocol on how to be ready to check out the next day. So we went to dinner. Dinner's at 7. We went to the meeting after that. Um, and then Scott was like, okay, if you're ready, we should go now. So we grabbed our drones, and the weather started to kind of change. You could start to see clouds coming in. Eventually got very gray, but on the mountains in the distance, there was lots of wind coming over the top, and like it was just beautiful looking. The sun was kind of that direction. So we drove there. It was about an hour drive, just myself and Will and our driver. And when we got there, my battery on my phone was pretty low, so I was charging it off of a DJI battery, and I let Will go first with his. I have a Mavic 2 Pro. He has the DJI Mini 4, I think is what it was. So he was a little uncertain, but he wanted to get a shot earlier when we were at the scoop of like a really low to the ground shot, flying really fast to give that parallax feel that like you're approaching something, where the mountains were kind of still in the background because they're so far away, even as close as we were to them. And so he flew his just straight into the headwind. There was like snake trails of snow off the ground, ice, like mile that it worked. It's a pretty awesome shot until this little mogul popped up and his drone hit it. And then our leader, he was like, okay, I'll go get it. Give me the controller for the GPS. And so we're like, cool, let's put our stuff away. And I'm like grabbing the little DJI Osmo camera because it's lightweight and got a gimbal. And he's like, no, it's too dangerous. This is like an unchecked area. There could be holes. Let me go. So he like walks
Sorry
off
to
to get it.
interrupt you, Jonathan, but can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
Something I picked up
As
on.
many as you like. Sure. Sure.
At the very beginning, you said that you had to sign a contract so they couldn't misrepresent you.
No, I didn't sign a contract to not be misrepresented. What I was saying was there was an agreement between the flat earthers. And behind the curve, Jaren agreed
Yeah,
to the
I hear you. I
documentary.
mean, this is
And
my
I took him
point
out
with
of
that. If
context.
this agreement was in place, how did that exactly work when the very first interview, that's exactly what they done?
I don't know. I'm not following completely.
Well, you not yourself, but Whitsit and such like signed a contract. You said so they couldn't be misrepresented. And in the very first interview with the media, what happened? Flat Earther changes his mind, but now we're being told that that's not what he meant. But
Oh,
in
I
that
can
itself, is that
answer
not a
that.
violation of the
I
contract?
think I can answer that. I think what you're referencing, the agreement between them, was a documentary that I will be making. So anything that I make, because I had sit down interviews with them, I had a lot of access
Hey,
to
real quick,
everyone's
Jonathan.
moment.
My bad. I don't mean to interrupt, but the contract was for any footage. That's why we're like, yo, what was that all about? Because they were saying no matter what it was, like they couldn't be filmed. I'm gonna let you finish,
If
but
they didn't,
Yeah,
if
it would
I
have
think it
been
just
Will
means if they
Duffy's
don't,
content.
I think it just means if they don't agree by a final cut of a 90-minute movie that I'm making, because
So can you
otherwise
get Will
there's
Duffy
no.
over here?
I'm sure I could.
Can you
I'm
bring
sure
him
he
now? Can you share the live with him?
1:30 in the morning. He's in Denver.
All right,
Um,
fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, but I mean, I'm sure he's got a whole plan he wants to do
Can you bring him in tomorrow?
his channel. I could text him and ask him.
Can you please, and maybe come back with him so we can have like to be continued tomorrow?
Sure.
Because a lot of us have questions. We just want to get down to the bottom of it.
yo, Scott, my issue, because that's a really great question that you asked, Scott. My issue is like, again, like he would have to have consented, right? If he went in front of Duffy Stream, then that like voided the contract, right? If he went on to it willingly, he's then consenting to like allowing that footage. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's why it's weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is why they put such a
Yeah, I don't know
strict
of
contract
anything
together.
with like
And then he says,
media
"Well, I'm just gonna
other
go
than
on your
me.
stream and I'm just gonna willy nilly just say whatever." So yeah, I kind of agree with you, Scott. Like it's just weird to me. Like I don't understand that at all. Um, Hey, Jonathan, just I mean, people gonna have to take our word for it, but people are thinking that this is a planned interview. Pirates, I don't know why you think that, but do you know who I am? Have we spoke before? Like,
No, like I said, I was watching that Caleb interview on TikTok. The stream
You
was
seem
streaming
very
the
hyper
stream. So
focused on me. You seem very hyper focused on me, Sacred.
Yeah,
Since I
we were streaming this stream because what we do out here, buddy, is this: we bring the truth to the light, and we expose deception, standing with the floor that we stand on, basically, which is the globe model, right? So when you guys were there and we had Caleb come into you guys and stuff, it wasn't that we were trying to stream it for like publicity or something like that, if that's what you're thinking. But it was more of trying to share what you guys saw there and what we saw from here. That's what that was. That's why we're asking if you guys could come over here so we can have a cordial conversation. So instead of people making these videos and assuming making an ass out of you and me, you get what I mean?
yeah, of course, I'm not claiming anything that nefarious here.
hey, John, I
Yeah.
got more. Oh, go ahead.
Go
Sacred,
ahead.
you seem very hyper focused on me. I haven't said a word to you since I've been on the panel. You've brought me up twice. Why is that?
No, I seen you say sacred in the chat, but I
Yeah,
was saying
people say my name in the chat a lot. Doesn't mean that I always bring them up on, talk about them on the panel. You seem very afraid people might believe what I'm saying.
no, I'm not afraid at all. I think that's a very valid question. I said if there's a flat earther that's we respect in the TikTok community that has a background in film, and I wanted to know this guy because since he seemed like he also has a background in film, like how he reacts to people questioning that this may have been fake. I think that's a very valid question.
All right,
Um,
fair enough.
that yeah, that's just I just want to hear his reaction. I think everybody wants to know because we do respect you, Pirates. Like I don't know why you feel like I'm attacking you or anything, or why you think that this is
No, I
all
didn't say attack. I
thing.
said just focused. I didn't say attack, which would be a
Yeah, I
different
mean, you said
thing.
sacred in the chat, so that's focusing on me. But
Yeah, I'm just
I was being
saying
general
this.
because a lot of people share the same
Okay.
sentiment. So I was saying like, yo, a lot of people want to know
All right, I'll just leave.
if this was fake or not, and I wanted to see how he would think that this is possible, or if he thinks it's not
Well,
right, or if he
since
thinks
it was my concern,
that it
Well,
is
let's focus
possible.
the questions on Jonathan since Jonathan is here, so we don't waste his time.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Like, I didn't want to
Sir,
keep on
yes, sir.
asking like questions, and people were going to think that this is planned. But I did want to ask one more thing, and I'll just shut up because I don't know if I'm doing a good job here. But I just wanted to know. Someone had mentioned why there's not a 24-hour stream, and Jonathan, can you just speak? Because I heard some sentiments that the internet might not have been shared with the flat earthers. Did you see anything like that? Like, was there any issues with sharing the code to the internet?
So
Any beef with
at
the flat
the
earthers versus the globe earthers? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I heard that. At the beginning, when we first got to the halfway point, there was a stream set up for Candace Owens for her channel, And the issue from what I took away, two parts. One, they were going to stream it on. Mark brought from her a 360 camera that has, you know, the full. It has cameras on both sides, so it can like. That's the same camera that Will used. That's the camera that Dave McKeegan used. So it's got this, what they notice, it's got this issue where if you're going to do a stream, you have to have Wi-Fi and cell phone service. And they only had Starlink and weren't aware of this as they started it. So it was switched to Will Duffy's cell phone. And he wanted to make sure, I think he was just a little anxious at the beginning. He wanted to make sure to, at midnight, to be able to do his live stream. So it was at that point he didn't want anyone using the internet who had maybe had the access. I didn't personally ask for access until the very end of our time up at halfway point because I didn't want to like I didn't know what the situation was, but I know that others felt that they hadn't been given it. And so I don't think that was a purposeful deception point. I
I
just
heard
think
Tiff
that
was really, really upset about that. That's
yeah, so
but I wasn't
she
there, so that's why I want to get
Can I
your.
ask
yeah,
you a
she
question? I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't know how else to be heard. I'm just wondering, like, does anyone else get to ask questions?
sure.
No, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just wondering because it does. That's why I said it sounds like an interview because he's the only one getting to ask questions, and I didn't hear like
Yeah, I do have a
the
couple
panel
questions
asking
myself.
anything.
Thanks for asking that.
Yeah,
But
I'll hang out.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
Ask away.
hope to
You
get
go
to
ahead
chime
first.
in.
Yeah, you go ahead first, Phil. You've been waiting longer.
Can you just finish that one point about the flat earthers with the internet, and then I'll shut up
Oh yeah, for sure.
because I
Yeah, I
really
just
want, because
think I
that's a
I
main
just think it
contention
was
about like the why there's not a 24-hour stream from the flat earthers, and if they was playing around with the internet, bro, with the flat earthers, I think that's something to be spoken about.
I don't think that was the case personally, that they were being mi I don't believe they're being misrepresented, but I do know there was an issue with, like I said, the Candace stream, the camera, and then the Starlink was pretty much opened up. We had Starlink given to us. It was for free down at the base camp we arrived at where like we first got where the plane was and stuff, the little red plane. So I do know at one point I think one of the flat earthers just decided to go um, to stay at lunch. We had all our cameras. We were switching batteries at that spot for 24 hours. And I think one of the flat earthers stayed at the camp and was able to just, you know, get on a live stream and was frustrated. I mean, it was frustrating that just the fact that it was go 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 from basically Los Angeles, even despite getting there 3 days early, 4 days early. It, it just was like one thing after the other. And there wasn't really, until the day we left, there wasn't really like wander around and like just relax time because that halfway camp, there's nothing up there except us. We had coffee and hot water, bathrooms, the shelter was heated. We had our cameras, experiments up there. The quarters were very close, people sleeping on the ground, under tables, other people working on the tables, food and drinks on the tables, gear everywhere. You know, we had some mats and sleeping bags. So yeah, you know, I can understand the frustration of the internet up there. Um, yeah,
And another thing I picked up on, remember in part of the videos, everyone was sleeping in the one blue building.
yeah.
So why did you have all those orange tents if you didn't use them?
Those orange tents were, you know, they were a few miles away, and it was a really slow process to get up there. Despite it being close as it was, we weren't like flying. We were going like, and you'll see on some of these videos, these cars were moving very slow. So the only time we went back to the tents down there where we were, you know, where the main camp where like the Japanese were, for example, and all of the like the gift shop and the cafeteria. The only time we went there for the first 24 hours was when we first got there and got orientation, had
And did I hear you
meals.
say that
So
these Japanese tourists were skiing?
That's interesting because Will Duffy said in his interview the first night we were there, I went outside my tent that they had named something like that, named Admiral Byrd or something. Or
Well,
was
last
that
time I checked, you
another?
wouldn't go
yeah,
skiing in
so
a place
Was that the
filled
so
with
building?
crevasses.
yeah, so the Japanese, I don't think they were skiing. I think they were climbing Mount Vincent.
I'm
Because the
sure
guy
that
with us,
skiing.
the other guy, JG, who
What was
he
the
was there,
place named
he was
Admiral?
like on a trip to ski and to do all that stuff, and just
So there's skiing holidays in
Admiral Byrd was.
Antarctica.
So when we first got there, yeah, people go there and there's like stuff to do. You can go to the South Pole. It's super expensive. A few of us wanted to go, but they were like, it's very expensive, like
Just saying, I've never
$30,000 a
seen
person.
before skiing holidays down there.
Um,
I'm going to have to research that.
What was the place named
yeah,
Admiral?
ALE. So the tents, when we got there that first day, they had us at the cafeteria unpack our bags and go right into like a little walk around to see the cafeteria, the Wi-Fi, the bathrooms. The toilets had like hard waste and then liquid waste. And then the showers, you had to fill a bucket with hot water. It's super hot. You have to add ice to it. It suctions it up and showers you. And so all of us had a tent, and every tent was named with a little sign outside the tent of a polar explorer. So the very first tent that you come to after the bathrooms there in like the row grid of tents was Will's tent, and it was named Bird. Mine was named after Amundsen, who was the first polar explorer to go and come back alive, a Swede, I believe.
So that was within the first 24 hours.
So yeah, so when we first got there, all of our bags are there, and we were told we could go. We had like a few minutes to like. Basically, Will wanted to go after we ate, but we had a little time before eating, waiting for it. So people went to their tents, found their tents. We were given like a list, and they showed where our tents would be. So we all went and explored. Our bags were just stacked right next to the little block ice wall outside the cafeteria. So I know people wanted to kind of like put their stuff down somewhere where they could like get into it, figure it all out. So
I don't
people
need all
kind of
the.
went to the tents and
It's fine. I think Phil,
Jonathan.
you had a question.
Yeah, I got a couple
And then I
questions.
have one.
Jonathan, are
Yeah.
you said you're a film producer for Owens lady? Candace Owens?
Mark is is her director for her show and podcast and whatnot.
Okay. And so are you just a homegrown
Yeah, I'm an
amateur?
independent. No, I'm not an amateur. I'm an
Independent?
independent filmmaker. I've shot about 10 feature films. I've had some big
What's your
names.
IMDb page?
It's my name.
Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you then. So, are you acting as, I don't know if that's the same question, and forgive me, I'm not quite in the film industry, but so you're an independent filmmaker. That means you don't belong to any of the union organizations that shoot films for the big guys like Paramount
Like
and
SAG.
all that. Is that right?
Yeah,
So,
Paramount.
That's right.
your
Paramount.
compensation, can I get these questions in just before I lose this guy? Because he's on live and he's on the record.
Yeah,
And this is my
I
investigation.
wanted
Thank
you
you.
to know
Real quick.
question.
Real
Yeah.
quick. I have particular questions.
Hello, Dr.
Am I going to be able to
Fluffy.
find you with your compensation a 1099 form that you will report taxes on with the Treasury Department? Or am I going to find you as a W-2? You said you're independent. I know what independent is. And I know the affiliations.
Yeah.
Where would I find you? Would I find you registered with Dun& Bradstreet? Will I find you registered with a UCC form when I start to ask for some of these compensation? Because I'm trying to figure out the motive on this big production down to Antarctica, knowing full well that we don't measure the sky to get the ground. We look at the
Sir,
ground. And this
I
has
could
caused
give you
huge conflict within the community of flat
I
Earth.
understand.
Huge. So, and there's a lot of things that people aren't quite looking at as to who all is affiliated with who all. Like, how well do you know Will Duffy? How well do you know Asa Whitsitt? Have you guys shot
Right.
films before?
No.
You all go to film school together?
No.
Completely independent of one another.
Yeah, I have my own production company. I'm shooting this like a Werner Herzog piece. It's a documentary. I've worked for tons of people.
Because a lot of major media got access to Will Duffy's footage, and we're running news headlines, right? So, if you don't mind, what is the name of your company?
Yeah, my company's called it's called Private Home Productions LLC.
Private Home Productions LLC.
Yeah,
what year did it start?
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
All right. And you're from LA?
I live in LA. I've worked, so I give you a little background about me if you'd like it. I can just save
Yes,
you.
sir.
So I started off in the business. My first like big job was for Warner Television's show One Tree Hill. I shot behind the scenes, press kits, EPKs, DVD special features. Um, I did like 5 seasons in North Carolina where I went to school. I was an intern, then worked a little bit after that on that show. And then I moved to LA and I got with some friends invested in a lot of equipment and I jumped on all sorts of productions. I freelance and I've worked for major studios and publications, all sorts of things. I mean, if you look at my IMDb, you'll see big A-list talent that I've directed photography for on
Yeah.
movies.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
A-list. That's what I wanted to hear. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
Uh,
Like, but independent films with independent
yes.
production companies.
Yes. No, no, you're good. Murdoch. Would he have been any of your compensations? Would he, that company, that producer, that I shouldn't say producer, but
Not to my knowledge.
owner of all media,
Not
the
to my
Murdoch
knowledge.
Empire? You're not familiar
Yeah.
with that name at all? Not
No,
that
I'm
guy at all?
familiar with
Not
it.
any of his affiliates?
Well, so here's the thing is like, I'm sure he owns companies and production spaces. Like, does he own like a studio? That would be, where does he own? Productions like as an independent filmmaker, I work a lot of freelance. So I recently did a show that I'm producing. I recently did an independent feature film that I directed and wrote. Um, those are things in post-production now. Um, I've worked on all sorts of commercials and short films and music videos from like Wiz Khalifa videos to like Nike and Reebok and Adidas doing lighting and grip. I don't belong to any unions. I'd like to belong to at some time. At one point, I would have liked to have belonged to Local 600 for camera, just for job security and things. But I don't. I think I was eligible a couple of times to join, but I didn't. I like my independence. Um, that sort of thing. The documentary, I've never worked with Will before. Um, Connected to Mark through, an old roommate and friend of mine who worked with him in Nashville. And I see it as an interesting story. Like I'm coming into these chats because as it stands for me, making sense of the AE map, there's a few points we talked about that, that they don't line up for me. So it's like, okay, back to the drawing board. What makes the most sense? Because if I'm going to present a 90-minute doc and had the opportunity to go to Antarctica and see firsthand and follow with some people that are hell bent it's a globe and some that are, more curious and questioning. I want to do the full scope of this because it's an opportunity to present, I think, a topic that a lot of people have some questions about. A lot of scrutiny has gone under the globe and NASA and organizations that I don't think make a lot of
Okay.
sense to me.
Let me just get in there real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but just two more questions, and I think I'll have all my questions answered, and I'll be done and pass the mic if I can.
Feel free to
Jonathan, is
DM me
this
as
your?
well.
Yes, sir. I'm following you. Is this your alias name, or does it match your certificate of live birth certificate for public record?
Jonathan Mariande,
Yes, sir.
that's the name I use.
Is this your alias, or will this name match the live birth record, birth certificate, public record?
Pretty sure it's a match.
Pretty sure it's a match. Okay,
Pretty sure
great.
it's a match, but
And are
it's the
you
name I use.
affiliated with any Masonic organizations?
No, sir.
No, sir. So at some point in time, as an independent filmmaker, you might feel compelled to reveal to the world about an anti-Masonic party and the great deception of all things and all institutions. Yeah?
I don't know
You
what
would
you mean
speak
by
out
that
against them.
question.
You would speak out against them publicly with a film to
Um,
bring them shame and get them off the platform out
I
of
think he
politics
clearly
and
said
shut them
that
down.
he's not affiliated with them, and if it needs to, I think he can do
Yeah.
that at that point.
I don't want any
Right, that's what
enemies,
I'm
you
seeing.
know.
If he would say that, yeah, that's the bigger question. Would you publicly become enemy with the Masonic
Yeah,
organization?
because it's against their brotherhood to speak against them publicly.
And we're in public,
Oh,
right? That's why I'm asking
oh,
this last question, and I'm going to mute my
yeah.
mic and pass it. So, no, you
Um,
wouldn't make a film speaking out against them.
well, it depends the criteria. Are they hurting someone?
Well, by you asking that question, I'm almost going to have to suspect that you should already know that, sir. Being a truth finder, they're hurting a lot of people, and I'm
Can
surprised
I
you don't already know that.
can I maybe
I'll rest
speak
my
to a
case.
point to why? Well, I would like to respond to that. You know, I believe that as a witness, anything I don't witness myself would be hearsay, and I don't want to move on hearsay. So that's why I like the fact that in this case I can be the investigator. I got to go to Antarctica and see it, whether it's my, you know, how I respond or
You need
the
hearsay on the Andrew Jackson Indian Removal Act of 1830 that systematically removed an entire nation of people and pushed them east of the Mississippi River? You need hearsay
yeah.
on that, my brother? Consider
Well,
me
is
a
that
witness. They did that to my grandpa.
yeah,
Consider
okay?
me a witness.
And I feel your pain by that incident for sure, and the wronging that that caused in your life. And you know, I want you to find peace on that. And I think through me, I just want to be clear that I wasn't a witness to it. And if we can find some way that I can witness what's, you know, what's come from that and what happened, um, you know, I stand that truth is self-evident. And I think it's like when Christ and Pontius Pilate were talking, like Pilate asked Christ right after he said, I find no crime, this man's innocent. Um, the very next thing Pilate says to Christ is, what is truth? And Christ says, you're looking at it. And I don't
Fair
think
enough.
that that,
I'm going to DM you, and
yeah,
your response will be weighed and measured to the fruit that you just bore. Seriously going to be
Jonathan,
quiet and pass the mic.
Dr. Flat asked, like, took my questions from me, which I'm like, that sucks because I wanted to ask them. But since most of what I, as a indie filmmaker and 75 times award-winning screenwriter with very prominent names that will back that up in both the film and the music industry, since he took most of my questions, I would like to ask you the last two that were remaining that he didn't ask, one in which he would not know to ask, and this one which he might have thought to ask but didn't. How many times have you worked with a 360 studio?
I can't say that I've ever worked with the 360 studio.
So how are you qualified to say how one works?
I guess I'm not.
Right. Yeah, see, I have people that have worked. I manage
Would I notice that I was in a 360 studio?
Yeah, but see, I don't believe you, and I think you should be
It's
ashamed
okay.
of yourself, but that's
You
my
think I
opinion.
should be ashamed of myself?
It's my opinion,
But
okay?
you just said you don't know me, didn't you?
That's very true. And so I'm not going to accuse you of something, but I have feelings about it. But regardless of my
Oh,
feelings,
what's that got to do
I
with
want to
me?
ask you, regardless of my feelings, and it's possible I shouldn't have said that out loud, okay? Fine. But
I
if you're
forgive.
not qualified, can I finish my question?
No, you can't. You're really annoying me now.
Oh, well, if you're not qualified to say how a 360 studio works, how are you qualified to tell people that that's not 360 footage? Anything that you say is just a testimony. There's no actual, like, you can't debunk it except for with your own saying I was there, and anybody can say anything. Just like when they told us the earth was a globe and we all sat there and believed it. There's no evidence. I
Okay.
happen,
Can
I
I
happen
can
to
answer that.
know, when I'm done, I happen to know that you really very well could have gone to Antarctica, and then that footage could have been put on that screen, and then the sun could have been added to it as well as fake snow. I know how it's all made. I have people, I manage actors worldwide in Europe and LA, everywhere, and I teach them how to act. And I have people that were out in everything from Star Wars Rise of Skywalker to The Chosen to indie films. And
Hey,
so work with,
let's let him reply though.
you could have
Well,
very well gone to Antarctica, and you're not
okay.
lying about that. But I know that they could have taken that footage and put it in the 360 studio.
Okay. Well, you said that if I haven't been in a 360 studio, how could I be qualified? Is that the question?
I'm just trying to tell you, as a fellow filmmaker, that that's no. You very well could have gone, and your testimony about going could very well be right.
Yeah, but
But
the
they went
question, the
taken that
question is, the question is, if I have never worked with a 360 studio, how could I be knowledgeable of the
no,
workings of a
oh,
360 studio?
that in the end of this, anybody can say anything. That's what I'm trying to say. We weren't there. All we have is your testimony. That's it. I mean, we don't.
There was a question there, right?
All I want to know is where's the 24-hour footage of the sun that you guys supposedly took?
Will Duffy has some, and I have some with the DJI Osmo. Mine's a hyperlapse. His is he has two 360 cameras with a 1 terabyte card that he filmed 25 hours of it straight, uninterrupted. You can see both cameras in both shots, so that he's got those.
Okay, when are those coming out?
It's a good question for Will Duffy.
My second question is
How
very
about the
quick.
question for you?
My second
what?
question is super quick, though,
Wait,
Dip.
one second, Kingdom. When is your footage is coming out?
My footage will be coming out with the documentary.
When is the documentary coming out?
That's the whole plan. We're on a schedule. We're going to start probably tomorrow. I'm going to get the hard drives over to my editor and start reviewing the footage and going through all the interviews. And we have a 10-week schedule, 6 weeks of post, 2 weeks after that of like color and titles and sound and music. I mean, it's a movie. So
As an independent, why don't
So
you
you're
have your
talking
own
about
editor?
March to April then.
because editing's hard and complicated, and I'd rather someone else put eyes on it with me.
So
What's
then you're
hard
not
about?
necessarily independent.
So quick.
Wait,
You say so.
One second. What's so hard about getting the footage in, since it's actually, we're not trying to cut off anything, right? Why can't we see the whole footage, and why is it going to take about 3 to 4 months?
That's just the footage I have, because that was my objective from the start, is to make a movie.
It's going to take you 3 to 4 months to get that footage out.
To go through all the footage, I mean, I shot for 11 days straight.
Who's
Will
Mike
Duffy, is that a
McAvoy?
stage name for Will Duffy? Is that an alias, or is he a true, authentic amateur pastor, or is he a professional actor, filmmaker, film producer, capitalizing on the subject matter of Christianity and flat earth doctrines?
I didn't
Is that
ask
what
him
Will Duffy is?
I didn't ask him questions about his uniform commercial code
I have a
license and
very
live
simple
birth,
question
so
for
I
you.
couldn't answer that.
Wait. So he said he shot off for 11 days straight. So I've been shooting for 3 years almost daily, between 12 to 16 to sometimes even 20, 24 hours a day. Now, I agree with you. The more I do that, the harder it becomes to cut the highlights and stuff. But you're telling me that there is no way to cut small, even highlight and put it in there?
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
So why?
Did I say that?
So
Well,
no, I know you didn't say that. But my thing is, I don't get this though. Neither you nor
It's
the
okay.
other party did that. I don't understand that part.
It's okay. It's Christmas. I'm with my family right now.
Jonathan, who's Mike McAvoy?
So that's the answer.
I've never heard of Mike Medavoy.
Then I don't believe you're in the film industry, because he produced every single film you've seen in the last 30 years, and he's Werner Herzog's good friend. So
Okay.
I don't believe you. I don't
Okay,
believe
that's
you.
fair. She doesn't believe me. That's fine.
The Promise. What's the film The Promise about?
I haven't seen The Promise.
Funny, because that's one of Herzog's films.
Okay, what about Encounters at the Edge of the Earth, where they go to Antarctica? I couldn't have seen one film and then decide I'm going to go do a
think you're
Dogwood
lying.
95
I
stuff.
can detect a liar, and I know you're not being genuine, but I'm not going to. It's not right of me to accuse you. I don't want to.
And yet you keep accusing me.
Well,
It's just
I am
funny.
at
You don't
conflict
ask
with I am
questions.
at conflict with
let's
myself
keep it
about
cordial,
it.
Kingdom. Let's keep it cordial.
Okay.
Let's keep it cordial.
I am at conflict inside about having said that out loud, because I don't do it. Ask anybody. I'm not known for it, but it's hard to not say it right now.
And that's all I know you for.
False witness. I hope you'll forgive me, but man, this is not, something's wrong.
I forgive
here.
you.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspicious activity here, and I don't think a lot of the listeners or the audience understand how filmmaking works, the inside top union classes with that organization that I brought up earlier, Jonathan. Okay, so that's why it's suspicious behavior and suspicious activities that just don't make sense. So as long as everybody knows that everybody that so far has been on set, on scene with this Antarctica project, they're all professionals, trained professionals on public art and performance. Okay, so to what level this experiment is going, we talk to a lot of people coming in here wondering what their reality is. And we're trying to figure out who's trying to play with it. And we're trying to bring the truth, and we're going to find it out. So please don't get offended because I ask you to identify yourself from your alias, working, operating as business, doing business as, and the real human being.
Yeah, I mean, how can one
man
identify
upon the land,
themselves?
right? Oh, well, we all know
How can one
he
how can
creates
one
stage
identify
names
themselves,
and pen
though?
names. Well, eventually I'm going to be asking you to provide your place of birth and your birth certificate. And if you've got nothing to hide, I'll be able to go right to that health department and ask for a copy to confirm that you are who you say you are.
Go for it. Anchorage, Alaska, Providence Hospital, 1982.
Well,
All right.
we got one thing in common. We share the same birthday.
Oh, yeah? August 14th?
No. I'm a Capricorn.
Leo, Day of the Mortal Mirror.
New Year's, baby.
That's cool.
But I do know that
Capricorn
it
is
is you
Capricorn
that
is
was
goat, Dip. Capricorn is goat. Be careful. They
Oh,
accuse you of being
So,
part
Dip,
of the.
I don't
Dip, your
mind being
birthday is the
called a goat.
31st?
No, January 1st.
Oh, okay. That's cool. My birthday is
Easy.
the
I'm a
31st.
goat too. I'm a goat
Yeah.
too. 22nd, just the other day. Boo-rah.
I know Jonathan was the guy that was sitting in the back during that time, so that I could tell you. I could tell from his voice. I could tell from the actions, I guess, responding back and forth. I'm just trying to figure out. I still don't know why we don't have a 24-hour footage or at least a short clip of that. We got some, I guess, or the one that you guys released, but that's nowhere near what would have been for a time lapse of 5 minutes. Does that make sense? Because
I mean, what about McKeegan's shot?
which one is that? Is that the one we saw?
The one that circles.
Yeah, see
the
that's
time lapse with tables
see that
disappearing,
was the
wasn't
one
it?
that got everyone kind of like suspicious. If that makes sense.
Definitely, there was things happening there.
And my
Tables
thing is this, bud.
disappearing.
Why do we have to edit it when we are just trying to show the truth? So, for example, if you're trying to prove that there's a 24-hour sun for the flat earthers, that's cool. Then we could just show the raw footage without even editing it. I don't understand why we need to edit it. Now, I get it. You need to make some kind of production and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know why can we release the raw footage a day to 2 days prior to the main release, and or you could release them at the same time. And honestly,
I think
people could
I'm
see-
honestly, I think that Jaron touched on that. I think that was Will Duffy's goal. I mean, again, like,
you know why I'm saying that, right? Because if the whole goal is to show people the reality, then I don't see why not. I get it. You got to make money. That's cool. You could release them at the same day. Actually, you could release that today, and then the next day you could release other stuff. But to keep the other one and just show the edited, I don't know, man. It's just not saying it's not gonna help. I don't know.
yeah, again, I'm telling a story of like the journey of people going to Antarctica as a movie. It's a journey story. It's a human interest story, the fragility of life and the scrutiny of ideas going to the harshest climate on the planet.
From your perspective, from your edited
Can you
perspective, which is
understand
a
what
bunch
else
of
do I
donkey
have?
shit, to be honest with you, bro. This whole thing's a sham job from the inside out.
Can you
You
understand?
better be
what the
careful
host
who
is-
your neighbors are.
Jonathan, can you understand what
Let's
the
be
host is
respectful, guys. Let's
saying?
be respectful. Let's be respectful.
host-
He's been very cordial.
The host, can you understand what he's saying though? This feels like them not showing us an organic picture of the Earth. You know? Can you
Well,
understand?
we're not. Yeah, I can respond. We're not NASA. I mean, we didn't go there for anyone else.
No, I'm saying, do you understand it has that same feeling? Like, why not release
Yeah,
that
I'm
and then go
I'm
make your
suspect
beautiful
of that
film out?
NASA photos too. I get it. I understand where you're coming from.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the social engineering coming in deep from within the CIA. This is a bunch of crap. You guys are a bunch of agents for real. I have sat here organically for the last 2 years talking to many people in and out with their own lives trying to find the damn truth, and you people come in here with this final experiment shit and fuck everybody's mind up, man. Totally not cool, bro.
They didn't
I'm
fuck.
calling you out.
They didn't
It's
fuck
fine.
them up, Phil. I'm with you.
That's fine. I wouldn't be in here and I wouldn't be in channels asking questions about where do we go from here if I was an agent. And maybe
It's called damage
say I would.
control, bro. It's called damage control. It's called cause internal conflict because you guys love division. There's no more politics to talk about. You can't divide us there. You can't divide us on religion, but you can divide us on the shape of the earth, can't you? You can keep us arguing with one another instead of moving forward.
Let's be honest. He's a filmmaker, so let's not attack him in quite a few imaginations. Let's stick back to what we were talking
You're
about.
right. I apologize. My bad.
You're good. You're
One
good.
quick
Oh,
thing.
cool.
If you're
wait
a
one second.
filmmaker,
One second.
how come
Kingdom,
there were
one
no
second,
pictures
one
from the
second, one
airplane?
second. 1 second, Kingdom. 1 second. So young man, well, what I really would like to do is see if you can come up, you and Duffy, come over here, and then we'll have the people come up and ask you guys questions. It shouldn't be long, shouldn't be that much, but people do have serious questions and want to know what's going on. Basically, that makes sense. And I
I
think,
got a question.
Why no pictures from the airplane?
go ahead, psychedelic.
I got a question for Jonathan. I just wanted to ask you, bro, what was it that brought you to be a flat earther?
It's probably a lot of the videos. My history, I think it all goes back to 9/11. I woke up, I didn't even know what the World Trade Towers were when my mom told me they were hit. I shortly thereafter discovered Alex Jones and his predictions. I dug into Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. I thought that was a fascinating movie
Be
and
careful with
doc.
the words, brother. Sorry, we can't say the E word or the S word like slavement or enslavement, nor the 9/11. We say 7/11. But go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're strict
got it.
lives. They'll shut the live down.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it was like 2015, seeing the Eric Dubay videos, 200 proofs, going through the next level, the Convex Earth documentary. What else? Just following Instagram channels about Tartaria. 200 proofs?
No, 100. He had the 100
Probably
first before he did the 200.
I'm sure I have. I've watched them all. I've seen, the Zeitgeist films, all that just piqued my curiosity. I felt like a lot of you, I can tell, probably felt that there was, just some fuckery about with everything. And I was shown a website with the original pictures of the Earth, and my friend was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about flat Earth as the granddaddy conspiracy?" And I looked and I chewed on it for 6 months before I finally wrote him back, and I was like, "Man, I think it must be flat because like none of this makes any sense. The globe stuff doesn't make sense."
Let
And
me
that
tell
really
you what's
set
weird
me
about
off
your
on that
testimony
journey.
here. I'm sorry, but I just got to ask you. You've been blobbing about 5-10 minutes, filmmaker, da 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 da, but I haven't heard you say, because I went to verify the shape of the earth, my damn shelf. That's the difference between a lot of people who come in fake bacon, seriously,
Mhm.
and those who say, I've seen that the earth, there's no curvature. That's normally what the first person says who is legitimately honest. They don't say, I watched Alex J. I watched all these films. I get that those are good in educational pieces. They are great work and they help. But what exactly did you do to tell yourself that the earth ain't flat or a globe? Where did you test for curvature? I'm
Well,
just
first of
curious.
all, Dr. Phil,
When
can
did
you
you
forgive
test?
me if
When
I've
did you
offended you?
observe that there's no curvature of the earth?
Yeah, I think, at one point I was in the Chicago airport. At one point I was in the Chicago airport for 6 hours. I asked 18 pilots what they thought, and 12 of them were like, laughed at me, and they're like, "It's round. I've seen it with my own eyes." I said, "Well, Neil Tyson DeGasse says it's round too, but he says even at Felix Baumgartner's 120,000 feet, you couldn't
I
see
think you missed
curvature."
my question. I'm not looking for hearsay of other people's opinions, like my guy PDHD Twitch here. PD Twitch, have you been measuring for the curvature of Earth?
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk to Jonathan, though, if I can.
Yes, I'll mute.
Okay, cool. So, Jonathan, you mentioned me earlier. I was the one bouncing balls off the hammers on the Netflix hit piece, but it wasn't a hit
How
piece
are you?
at that time, right? My name's Nathan Thompson.
Hi, Nathan.
What's up, bud? I appreciate you going and filming it and being a truther. And I'm sorry you're being attacked on the panel, dude. Cheers.
Thanks. I'm sorry that you were putting that light. I didn't mean any
I loved
harm
it,
when I said
dude.
that you
All the
were
hit
made to look
pieces
silly.
all the hit pieces
By the
backfired
way,
on him, bro.
he's not.
Because it just more publicity for Flat Earth. Flat Earth is exploding, and we're spending over here an hour talking about if Austin vapes or not. It's like, dude, this is so dumb.
That's where
But-
that's where I was chiming in the comments is like, that's not the conversations to be having. I don't think it's like, let's get to better conversations.
I agree.
Sure,
That's
can-
my thoughts. I mean, if you guys want to call me a shill and like say that I like operate in the uniform commercial code, like, man, you don't know the first thing about it. But if I've offended you, maybe you can you can forgive me. I don't know what else to say.
Now, I've mentioned the suspicions. You personally haven't offended me if you are who you say you are, right?
Okay.
A legitimate person. If you're an actor, you know, social engineering this whole thing from behind the scenes with the top 1%, well, you didn't offend me, bro. But creator,
We wouldn't do this because the elite don't
Different
want
story.
to talk about flat Earth. You know who wants to talk about flat Earth? Triggered anti-flat Earthers. That's who wants to talk about flat Earth, and they're doing a great job promoting flat Earth and getting our message out there.
Yep.
So,
and,
props.
and I get it.
Well, to be
I get
fair,
it,
though,
Nate.
we're not
Okay.
daily here, constantly discussing this. To be honest with you, even when it comes up, we'll talk about it a little bit here and there. There's been a few times where it gone deeper, like fit us flat earther, and it gets bigger and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we're not doing this daily. But the fact that you came up here and you were listening, and Caleb was there, that's cool. I'm just trying to figure out again. If you can get Duffy in here, we got all these legends, we got Enoch, all these guys in here, right? Bring them in here. We could actually literally ask them about that, get that out of the way, and then maybe we could actually see if we can have some kind of cordial debates. Would that be even be possible?
He's a flat earther, and you guys are attacking and berating the hell out of him, and you want him to bring Will Duffy in here, bro?
No. I'm not attacking him. I'm not attacking him. He knows I'm not attacking him. I never have I, Jonathan, attacked you so far?
No,
I
Nathan,
don't really even feel attacked. I don't feel threatened.
He's not being
feel-
attacked.
I kind of just feel
He's the man that went to Antarctica. If I can respond real quick to Nathan over here before I start suspecting
Frustration.
Nathan of being your, get in there and bail out the other guy because there's too much heat. So I'm not, I did reference you, Nathan.
on the
but,
show.
hey, these
On the
people
show.
have a right.
Yes!
Nathan, I'll be serious.
Now I'm the shill. Yes.
I mean,
Come on,
hey,
Nate,
bro,
let him speak.
you
Let
could
him
be a
speak.
bailout
Guys.
guy for real.
Nathan,
These guys are bringing
Nathan, did you see the
nonsense to this
last
shit.
upload? Nathan, did you see the last upload from Jaren?
All are wild, dude. The live stream?
Yeah, the last upload. Did you see that?
No, I don't think so. I don't follow Jaren.
So maybe you need to update a bit. Yep.
Vika, I just showed it to everybody. Are you talking about where he was calling out flat earthers and when he went over his trip to Antarctica?
Oh, he's putting everybody under the bus except the Globers. That's what I see. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing something else or I'm hallucinating.
Yeah,
Well, I feel
yeah,
too.
that's the one that I showed. I didn't show everybody that part of it because that was basically when Jaren was critiquing our podcast with Dave the other day. I'm sure. That's
All right,
what
can we see that part, please? Big bucks.
Oh, man.
You want to see that, bro? That is this. It gets spooky. Jaren
Yeah, he
cracks
said
out
some
on
things. He
everybody.
said some things that you wouldn't want on the live, like how big his members are and stuff. Like, I don't know if you want to be that part was Jaren's triggered, bro.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even really.
And I don't
Honestly,
know.
that's probably nothing we really need to look at. It's Jaren's latest live stream. If you guys just go to his YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, it's not just one clip. It's more than an hour or something of going on. So people, if they are really interested, they can. I just had Jonathan left. Hey, what's up, Jonathan?
What's up?
I heard that you're a filmmaker. So are you going to be partial on any side with your moral of the documentary? Or
No, I don't think so. I mean, I want to present a good case here. I want to know what the understanding is. If the AE map is got some issues with the sun circling Antarctica, like I want to know before it's done and address what that means.
I got another question I want to add to that. Jonathan, I do remember you before the trip. You had you messaged me um, asking me if I had any information on Antarctica in general. And I did tag you in a video that is based off of a couple of our veterans here, Joe Hanvey and Stephen Alonzo, I'm sure you've heard of. Did you get a chance to see that video?
Yeah, is this Shane? No?
No,
No.
this is psychedelications in
Oh,
Israel.
that's who I confused. Yeah, I confused Shane with you. Wasn't he talking about that similar stuff in the clubhouse maybe? I did see your tags. I did watch the videos, and I had messaged at the time. I wanted to get some more in depth with you about those videos because
Yeah, absolutely. Because
if we can do that too, we'll pick up from there.
Yeah, for sure. So that's why I wanted to bridge on that, is because that video that I tagged you in it's on the top. It's my first pin video, is based off of Joe Hamey's model. Possibility of how a 24-hour sun could work on a flat plane in Antarctica.
My last name spelled the way it is, Mariande at gmail.com. If you want to pass it on to him, or if he even saw it, I'm sure he did. It was in the comments, or I'm sure he'll get to it.
But I did some video editing today for Joe, and he joined my Patreon. So if I'm a shill, he's probably a shill too. So I just want to let you guys know.
So before you guys,
You know what I
went out
find
there-
interesting?
Wait,
Go
one
ahead,
second. Sorry, 1 second. So before you guys went out there, and way a long time ago as well, we've talked about this many times, that the sun, especially on this channel, there's a big possibility that the sun is a reflection of a projection of a main source or a reflection of a projection. Again, also when we also said that, then even 2 to 3 days even before the trip, we emphasized that might be a 24-hour sun that they might see there. If it is so, it may be a little bit, maybe like I would say lighter, and or due to the reflection, because it is a reflection. But what that confirms, that means there is many suns elsewhere, and that means everyone sees the sun due to their their location and how they're observing it, basically. Does that make sense?
Right. I was aware of that. I was aware of that. So the touch points were that we did to try to observe that, and maybe we didn't do it right, and you can help me find the better way to do it. But we did use a polarizer to try to see if it was a reflection, because, a polarizer, reflection of the sun on glass, if you turn it, the glass will show the sun shrinking in size. So we were able to film like the sun, put the polarizer in, turn it as it's reflecting on a window, gets smaller, film the sun, doesn't get smaller. The sunspots, from the angles from people that submitted with the EXIF data, metadata that says where and when they filmed it during the same time we filmed it. I know that that's being put together, but, I filmed the sun with the solar filter, as did others with, zoom telephoto lenses and P1000s. And those were, that was interesting because the sun did seem to have the sunspots in the same spots, but as a mirror reflection from where someone in the northern, quote unquote, inner circle hemisphere above the equator line.
No. So it's not like that. So that depends on where is the sun coming from. If it's a reflection of a projection of a main source, that means it would be coming from the center, the vortex center in the north. And it's reflected again, or reflecting against the dome. The other one, it's basically from the other way around, which is from the top. So one is from the bottom, pierced to the top, which is why they used to call it the pierced or the Pierce star and not Polaris, in my opinion. But we'll get back to that some other day.
No, let's try to. It would be cool if we could figure out a way to visualize that for a screen that we could film it.
Oh, a
and
psychedelic. We
showcase
actually
it.
got a nice video. Don't you test psychedelic on that?
Yeah, few.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. That's what I was asking Jonathan because he messaged me. He
Yeah, I remember.
messaged me.
Can you show us the video, please, now?
Oh, you want to play it in the beatbox?
Please. So we have him here. All these intelligent men and women in here. Let's chime in and see what's up.
Let me pull it up.
Jonathan.
And Jonathan, man, again, man, I hope you don't feel like anyone was attacking you or anything like that. We really go hardcore for the truth. I truly hope that you come back here, not just about this, at anything. And since you are a flat earther, please stop by.
Thanks.
Yep. It would be nice
Yeah,
to.
100%.
Yep, please.
If my questioning has offended you, I'll apologize up front. Okay, to help you figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I spend all my time. I'm a grandpa. I've already been through the wash. I'm not going to go into a deep story, but truth has nothing to hide. Nothing. I stand with the creator of truth. And so I would hope that who I place myself with are also under that same jurisdiction. They have nothing to hide, and truth doesn't fear scrutiny. It needs to be investigated and all questions asked. No offense intended.
Yeah,
You're right, Doc. And he said he's gonna work with us. So not only that, he said he's gonna release stuff. So let's give him the time, please, and let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
One quick question for Jonathan. Jonathan, before the trip, when was confirmed that you're gonna be going? Like really confirmed?
the day before Thanksgiving.
I don't know when is it Thanksgiving, but
26th of November.
26, like almost less than a month, right?
Yeah, and I got
Before.
the call like less than a week, like 4 days before that from Will saying, "Hey, I'd like you to come and make a doc and tell me what you would, how you would do it and thoughts on coming."
All right, thanks. So
Pretty
Will is
quick.
the one who was Will is the one who was funding your trip
Correct.
and the movie.
Correct.
So it's going to be on the side of a globe. I don't think so. He's going to pay you so much money to make a Flat Earth Pro documentary, right? Even though you being a flat earther.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was for me to be a flat earther. It was significant so that it would not be biased, so that I would be able, as a person that's searching for truth, to scrutinize their perspective and not be a round earther to just come in and make a biased piece.
Jonathan, did Will Duffy make you sign an NDA?
No.
So you can show us pictures if you wanted to right now?
Yeah.
All right. Let's let him psychedelic. Go ahead, play the video, please.
Please post some on your story or something. I'd love to see them.
I'll post some more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So this is the one I was referring to. Go ahead.
I'm gonna drop so Newton can come up.
I can bring him. Hold on.
I'll go ahead and play this. This is based off of Joe Hamby's model, his physical model, and Stephen Alonzo's mathematical model. I did tag you in this before, Jonathan, but we'll go ahead and play it again.
Thanks.
Manifestation can occur simultaneously in all directions along the Antarctic ice wall perimeter. The sun is not a tangible physical object, but rather it's an optical conical focal point source of electromagnetic radiation. The sun that we see in the sky is a holochromatic projection of the true black hole sun that is emanating from the central vortex of creation. Cosmic invisible electromagnetic energy originates from the central vortex, interacting with the inner boundary of the toroidal field, and upon contact, a prismatic